Hi, I'm David Ganas, fantasy writer at theathletic.com, and now I'm one of the writers for their new collectibles mailbag. Well, a few weeks ago, I received some cards from PSA and I had those graded. I did a video on that, my first PSA submission grading, and now I just got back some graded cards from SGC, and so I thought we'd open up those and go through those again in a similar way. So, a quick background. I'm a renewed collector. I'm getting back into the hobby with the past year, just like many of you, but I am a long-term collector. I'm not an investor, much to the chagrin of my wife, Shelby. So I'm not someone who is just buying cards to flip them, holding them for 6 weeks and turn around and making a quick profit. I'm not someone that's buying dozens of the same card. I'm a hoarder. I'm a collector, first and foremost. So with that said, I wanted to try out SGC because I'd heard a lot about them. So I thought, you know what? I have some duplicate raw cards that I wanted to get graded. So I thought now's a good time. I knew they had a quick turnaround and their price is decent. So I thought now's a good time to try them out. So that's what I did. So we're going to look at my cards and talk about the pros and the cons of what we find. And hopefully there's good grades in here I can be excited about. But either way, they're my cards. So the grade is on me. It's not really on them. But we'll go through the pros and cons of grading with SGC. So when I first decided to go through these cards and submit them, I went through and graded them myself to try to get an idea of what their worth might be. As I look back at what I wrote down as what I think the grades might be, I'm wondering if I pre-graded a little high. I hope they agreed with me that these were as high as I apparently thought at that time, but we'll see. Oh boy, I don't know. This is going to be fun. All right, let's get into it. They sent it back a nice little priority mail box. So these guys ship out of South Florida, I believe just north of Boca Raton. Yeah, they're in Boca Raton actually. I used to work down there, and at Open Sports, which was a company back in the late 2000s that did a little bit of everything. They were a fantasy sports company before FanDuel. Before a lot of those companies did daily sports, that's what they were doing. It was a pretty cool company. Okay, so let's get into this. Flip one up here. It's tuxedo time. You have to like that. All right, let's go. This is my dog Frank behind me, by the way. He's good. Good at what he does when he's not sleeping or cleaning himself. First one we got here is a Shaquille O'Neal. It's the Upper Deck, 1992 Upper Deck trade card. Now, this wasn't the card that said #1 drafted. It was a redemption card. But so this got an 8.5. So I had guessed a 9 on it. I wasn't too far off. The look of these slabs is just absolutely gorgeous. And with the black background of that card, it looks really nice. It makes it look like it's one huge card, really. All right, so 8.5. A little less than what I'd hoped, but it's not a 3, so I'm already looking good here. I like this. All right, so next one, we got a 1993 Topps Derek Jeter. Now this is one. It's this 92 draft pick card, and literally just one of the. Something about this card. I love that look of where they're like kind of cropped out and put in with this, like I don't know what you call it, like a drawing background or animated background. But I just think that looks so sweet. And Jeter himself, he just looks fantastic in this card. So I love this one. Got a 9. I was hoping for a 9. I got a 9, so I'm happy with that. So that's great. One thing I want to mention is with SGC, they have the black with the gray right there. I saw someone had a Mickey Mantle. They submitted a Mickey Mantle in the SGC, and it looked so nice. Something about the old vintage wool pinstripe look with the SGC gray and black. It just looked really good. So I had a feeling the Jeter one was going to look really good. I have one more Jeter coming up too, so this one looks good. Looks really good on a 9. Would look really great in a 10. I don't know, something about 10. Just I don't know. But anyways, looks good. All right, this is the other Jeter. This is Upper Deck 93 where he's fielding ball. I got an 8 on this one. was hoping for a 9, so that's already a disappointment. I'm not as crazy about this card, to be honest with you. In general, I love that other version, the 93 Topps version, better, but it's interesting. I don't see any flaws on the card. Maybe it was the centering that with a Topps card, or with some of these cards that had borders, you could see everything, that's off to the left or to the right. But with the borderless card, it was tough to see. So one trick you do is take other cards, especially if you have duplicates of it, and you line them up next to each other, and you see if the border on the bottom matches on all of the cards, or which ones stand out. Is one really low or is one really high? I thought I sent one that was one of the best ones, which may be an indicator that all of mine aren't great. So that's good for me to know, at least. But anyways, an 8 on another Jeter. So I got a 9 on a Jeter, 8 on a Jeter, 8.5 on Shaq. Okay. Ooh, the first stinker of the bunch. This is an old one too. So it's relatively old. A 1982 Topps Nolan Ryan. It's interesting because this one was one that, even if it graded well, it was going to be barely worth more graded than it was for the submission price. Got a 5 on this. I was hoping for a 7. I got a 5. But whatever. It's cool. It's still a nice looking card. I love Nolan Ryan in that uniform. It's such a nice looking uniform. And I thought it was pretty well centered. I don't see much damage on it, but you know what? I'll have to look a little bit closer. So now I thought it would be good to talk about some of the pros and cons of getting your cards graded at SGC. The first thing has to be speed of service. I sent these cards in on August 4th, and now I got them back on September 2nd, I believe. And what's interesting is it says 20 to 25 days, business days, for grading for the $30 level of service that I chose. So I was happy about that. The cost, $30, which is higher than the value service over at PSA, which was $10. The problem there is that is no longer $10. So a $30 price point isn't bad, especially for 20 to 25 business days for turnaround. That's pretty good, and it's for cards valued up to $1,500. I also really like the slab style. I had bought this is not the first time I've seen the SGC slabs or held one. I bought one not too long ago, and it's just really nice slab. It's that gray, silver, and the black borders. It's just a nice, tight looking, very regal, and it's such a sweet logo. You can't really see it here. It's on the back. I don't know if that's really. But the logo itself, it's got the basketball, baseball, and football all combined into one round logo. It's just sweet. It was a really good job of them redesigning that logo. Also, the heft. It's got a little more weight to it. Feels like a bar. Like it's a valuable item. One thing I do like is that the top shelf guys in the industry love it. So what that tells me is they're already promoting that. A lot of the other YouTubers, a lot of people that do breaks, a lot of people love these SGC slabs. So if they're promoting it and they have an audience, that means eventually, like myself, I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And then you end up liking it because you try them out and you're happy with it. That's good to know. What else? The location. It's located in South Florida. I'm in Orlando, which is Central Florida, so I'm happy with that. But that doesn't really matter for everybody. But 75% of the American population lives east of the Mississippi River. So right there, you're already closer to it. Sending your cards in is going to be, it's going to get there a little quicker than sending it to California. So that's good. They send it back to you prior to mail, so it's coming back quick no matter what. It was easy to submit. It's a very simple process. Once you do it once, I'll have no problem going back and doing it again. PSAs wasn't difficult either, but it took a little bit more. It seems like they have more. You got to make sure you do this. Got to make sure you do this. I liked SGC was a little more simplified. With that said, PSA has been in this business forever, so I'm sure they were ironing out a lot of things that problems that they had encountered through the decades. So they know. I wouldn't say they don't know what they're doing. They certainly know what they're doing. They got a million cards that they're still trying to grade. So, but I do like the ease of submission for SGC. I like the simple grading style. The 1 to 10 grading system is great. It includes half points, like you saw, like the 8.5. They have that 0.5 in there, which is nice. One thing to remember is an SGC 10 is equal to a PSA 10, whereas with BGS's 9.5s are equal to a PSA 10 and an SGC 10. But a BGS 10, pristine, is higher than all. So remember that it is apples to apples when you compare SGC grading to PSA grading, but not necessarily BGS with SGC. So another thing I like is a video I saw on Sports Card Investor who did a little background on some of how they grade in their offices. One of the senior graders there explained that if they get a card like a Chrome, Topps Chrome or Bowman Chrome card, and it has a fingerprint on it, they'll wipe the fingerprint off. That's pretty amazing. Like, I love that. Now, before I submit, I make sure my cards are clean and stuff. You never know if maybe you catch an edge or something like that with your thumb, you got a thumbprint on it. They clean it off. I love that. I don't know if that's the case in other grading services, but for him to admit that, I thought that was pretty cool. Finally, they're not PSA. That sounds like a con. PSA is the more accepted and the higher selling version of graded cards, and saying they're not PSA sounds like a negative. But actually what I mean that because everyone is valuing PSA slabs at a higher amount, then getting a similarly graded card from SGC is a better deal for you right now. So go start buying some discounted SGC graded slabs. That's a good idea. Okay, so some of the cons. Well, I mentioned the cost. It's a little more expensive than PSA's lowest version, but I already mentioned too, if you're getting it back in 20-25 days, that's pretty much worth it. They're a little newer to the industry. It says that they've been around for 22 years. They've been grading cards for 22 years, and they started out in New Jersey. At least it says on their blog. They started out in Parsippany, New Jersey, and now they're in South Florida. Half of New Jersey and New York make their way down to South Florida, so that makes sense. So now it seems like they've hit their stride, which is good, but they are a little bit newer from our perspective in the industry. Third thing is on these slabs, there's no barcodes to scan. Let me show you. So, like on this Jeter, there's no barcode for me to just scan and goes into my app. And the reason for me that's important, it sounds really stupid, but on the PSA slabs, they have a barcode, and you just point your camera to them. It puts it into the PSA. It's called PSA Set Registry, which is an app for free on your phone, and it puts it right into your collection. Like now, that card is stored in that collection. The serial code, the grade, it has the auction prices. So there's some things that I really like out of that. I wish, and it's probably coming in the future, I wish SGC would have a similar app that would be able to store your collection and basically punch in what the serial code is on that card, and then you have it in your collection on your phone. Their social media seems to be lacking a little. Their Twitter, there's only a handful of tweets in the past few months. On their Instagram, same thing, like just kind of bare minimum. And that's a good and a bad. I mean, it's bad in that I'd like to see more from them, but it's good from the aspect of, well, that just means they're focusing on grading cards. So that's a good thing too. 20-25 day turnaround. Somebody's got to get off Twitter to help with grading cards. Okay, so now to summarize, I'm a brand loyal guy. So like for instance, my tools. All of my tools are Ryobi tools. I just like to have the uniformity. So similarly, I've been a PSA guy. All the cards, the graded cards that I bought when I started buying graded cards back 10 years ago, they're all PSA cards, PSA graded cards. So now once I started submitting, I submitted all to PSA, and I wanted to stick with them. But then I started thinking about it, and especially knowing these were coming back and seeing the cases that I've seen elsewhere, they're different players. There's different sports. There's different team colors. There's different card designs every single year. There's different subsets within cards. There's different sports card manufacturers, at least for now, over the next few years, at least for now, until Fanatics does what they're going to do. So having different grading companies grade your cards and put them in different slabs, that's not going to be that weird. It's still going to look really nice on your shelf or in a display case or whatever. So I think that was something in my head that was probably a little bigger in my head than it should have been. From what I understand, Beckett Grading or BGS used to be the top grading service. Like, that was known as the higher valued service. So a BGS 9.5 was more valuable than a PSA 10 from what I've heard and understand. So now that's reversed. PSA cards are valued more than BGS. So while PSA still has mountains of cards to go through, many more times than SGC has to deal with, now might be a good time to start buying SGC graded cards. As I mentioned, buy them on eBay at a discount compared to their PSA graded versions. I mean, you're getting a discounted card. It's supposed to be the same, essentially the same grade, and but at a lower price. So that's nice. You've likely heard the saying, buy the card, not the grade. Well, it's the same thing here. It works with this. Buy the card, not the grading company. So if the card looks like it's a well graded, high grade card, then you want that card. It doesn't matter if it is PSA or if it's SGC or whatever. But it would be nice if it's in a nice slab that you like. So here's my suggestion to you. Submit some of your duplicate cards to SGC and see what you think when they come back. And now you'll have two graded versions of the same card, and you can keep the one you like better and you can sell the other one. That's essentially what I'm going to do. So maybe that's something you can do too. Please hit like and subscribe and check out my articles at theathletic.com, including the new collectibles mailbag at The Athletic. And also check out my stuff at davidganis.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at davidganis. So have a great day.